Welcome to our coverage of the Paris Olympic Games. Today, I watched 12 hours of podium training to bring you all the news and talk to the athletes in the mix zone. It's July 25th, and I'm coming to you live from Paris. Spencer's at home doing all the spreadsheets. Welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and we have Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. And here is how our Olympic coverage works. The headlines are available to all. Each episode continues with more coverage, like the bonus coverage, behind the scenes sections, the extra content for our Club Gym members, because they support us all year long, so we can bring you this kind of content. So if you're a member, Club members, switch over to your members only feed, so you can listen to the whole thing now, and the instructions are in the show notes. So let's talk about the headlines. Spencer, I want to know all of your thoughts before we get to everything. I need to turn myself up a little bit, bring a little more juice. How is that? Is that a little better? Can you hear me more?
You are definitely louder.
Okay. Is that better? Let me know if I turned myself up. I'm trying not to be really loud because I don't know if you're a visual listener, you can see from the sweat on my face that it's very hot here. And I am trying to
keep it together.
Yes,
we're trying to keep we're already trying to keep it together mode. It's only been podium training, so it's great. It's going great. Everyone's great. Okay. News.
So I want to know all of your thoughts about the headlines with the new women's skills.
Yes. So we found out two submitted skills. Only 2, which is kind of disappointing, but now that you can get skills named after yourself at lots of different competitions, it's less common at the major ones. But big news in skill submission, Rebeca Andrade did in fact submit the Yurchenko triple full, which is what we've been waiting for. The valuation, which is really what we've been excited to see, is a 6.0 D score. So the issue here, the drama here, is that the Yurchenko 2.5, the Amanar, is a 5.4 difficulty. And all of the, Yurchenko vaults increase by 4/10 for every half twist that's added. So the double full is a 5.0, the Amanar is a 5.4. If you go by that precedent, then the Yurchenko triple full would be a 5.8. But I think universally everyone agreed that that's way too low for a vault that's this difficult. If you compare it to the Chung at 5.6, you're only giving the Yurchenko triple full, which no one's ever successfully completed, a 5.8. That would be ridiculous. So we saw, it's good to see that they didn't adhere to that. We saw an increase to a 6.0 rather than a 5.8, which I think is more equitable. It's still an issue of what is the precedent? What is the standard? Is it just arbitrary every time there's a new vault? How are we deciding this? Those are the issues I still have, but at least I am glad that it's not a 5.8.
Yep. I agree. Like, I feel like the one thing that's like upsetting about this, of course, they're like, yes, everyone try Yurchenko triple full, but Simone, no one try a double off beam. Like, that's the difference where I feel like this is not, and they are encouraging this with the valuation they gave it, and they're discouraging Simone's skill. And I just feel like, just let the tenths lie where they're supposed to go, and then see if anyone's crazy enough.
Have a standard for them. I will say though, right. I think this is in keeping with the valuation of the Yurchenko double pike, which they also kind of thought was going to be a 6.2, and then they bumped it up to a 6.4, so they added 2/10 versus what they thought for that as well. So I think in keeping with what they did for Simone's vault, at least, I think this is in the range of that decision. I just want, I don't want a situation where you're just randomly assigning values based on your mood at the given year.
Yeah.
For vaults. I want there to be like, this is what we do. This is the system.
Yep. I so I watched Brazil's podium training. They were last go. It was like 9:30. They're still doing routines. And I'll tell you all about it.
The Brazilians are ready for that.
They are.
They're just getting, it's the Brazilian team. They're just getting started at 9:30.
But so she didn't do the Yurchenko triple. She did an Amanar and she did her Chung. They were beautiful. The upgrade that she did do on floor, which is a big deal, is she did a whip to a full twisting double layout, not just a double layout. That's a big deal. That's
very exciting. One. She's bringing it. She's just not going to let Simone just walk through this competition. She's like, you're going to have to hit. Simone, you're going to have to hit is the message that Andrade sent in podium training today.
And Cecile did say in the mix zone today, she was like there because people were like, is there a rivalry between Brazil? And, people are trying to make it a thing. And I was like, yeah. And Cecile said the same thing that I think. She was just like, there's a lot, they respect each other. That's why when they see each other, they like to see each other. There's a lot of hugs. They take pictures together. They do stuff like they respect each other's skill level. Like it's gymnastics. There's no, there isn't that kind of thing. As much as I would like those
as fun as it would be.
Boxing style intros. Other news, just in case I want to update everybody in case you've missed the news this week. Also, Wevers and Visser also submitted the triple L turn, which they always do. So it's not, there's always one of those. But Vera Van Poel is out for the Netherlands with a foot injury. So Tisha's in, and the Japan lost their best all-arounder. This is the update to this.
Okay.
They're
Miata Shoko out. Yeah. The smoking issue. Yeah.
Smoking. Which is illegal. She's underage for smoking in Japan. Which we talked a lot about this on our preview show because it makes no sense to us in Western culture. We're like, what? But that is a thing there. So the internal Japanese Olympic rules that they have written say that they cannot replace someone unless it's an illness or injury, and apparently they don't consider smoking to be an illness, which obviously it is. So that's the update on that. It's not that they were following the FIG rules, they're following their own internal rules.
The self-sabotaging nature of Japan's rules will never stop hurting this team.
The thing that I love about this, though, is like the Japanese team, I spent the entire day yesterday in the training hall and watched all the teams who showed up to train. And they were just like enjoying themselves, having a good time. Hillary Heron's coach's daughter was in there, and she is a toddler. And so I walk in, there's a little, they come in and there's a toddler in a little purple leotard running around to all the teams, and the Panamanians told me that they call her La Dictora. She's the director of the federation. Yeah. And and so she was like, running up to a team and, they were very good. They didn't let her go to the mats. They didn't let her get in anyone's, she was very safe. But, while teams were stretching or whatever, she'd go over to them, and the Japanese team at the end, gave her something. And she loved it and looked at them, and she held her arms up like, okay, I'm going with you, as they were leaving. It was adorable.
She was like, oh, you gave me a present? I am now the daughter of the Japanese team.
She's like, I'm now the director of your team. So anyway, they don't seem to be they seem to be in good spirits, and as they usually are, that team. But let's talk about the big news today, which was the USA podium training.
U.S. women's podium training. I think overall thoughts, it was pretty normal podium training. Yeah. I think it went solidly well. I think no big news to report, no lineup drama. I would say, I think things that you sort of get the lineup, the order gets telegraphed by what happens in podium training. I think it was as expected that we'll see Simone Biles and Suni Lee and Jordan Chiles go in the all around, and Hesley Rivera on bars and beam, and Jade Carey on vault and floor. That was kind of what we thought, and that's what the lineups were. I thought Simone had a good day overall. Highlight was obviously her the first Yurchenko double pike she did in podium training, which was just basically stuck, hop up in place. Great.
Okay, first of all, Spencer, can I just tell you, when she did this vault, there was literally, I might have participated in this too.
Oh, really?
But a echo of holy shit in the media section. And we're in the rafters. But I will say Emily Giambalvo from the Washington Post was like, was it a stick? And I was like, well, Spencer will say it's not, because she didn't absorb the landing. But she did not hop. Her feet didn't leave the mat. She stayed exactly in place, and she might have risen slightly, but her feet did not move.
It's a hop up. It's a heel hop up in place. It would get a deduction. It doesn't matter, because now it's a 9-7 E score instead of a 9-8 or whatever. But
Cecile said she did a better one in the training hall. I was
she actually second. Yeah, probably.
It was freaking amazing. Other news from the US team, very important. They're getting new mattresses, thank God. Cecile was like, she sat down on the mattress, was like, absolutely not. I asked Jess Graba about the same thing. Jess Suni Lee.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was just like, what? The mattresses? Yeah, they're fine. You got to do it. And I was like, no, Cecile.
You're like, nope, boys, get out of here. Don't want to hear it. Cecile, tell me about the mattress.
Of course, the wrestlers, like, it's fine, whatever. But yeah, they got new mattress. They're like toppers. And so the USOPC got them air conditioning for their rooms. So they are in the best condition they can possibly be in. The other thing when I talked to Jess about is I asked him, like, I hadn't seen Suni do the Nabieva to Pahardwaj in training the day before, but she did it in podium training. And he was like, yeah, she's just really trying to figure out the bar setting still. So it'll just be up to her whether she connects it or not. And so today she did her 6-4 routine, and, she can go all the way up and do the 6-6, but it's just, as usual, it's Suni. It's like, how does she feel? How's it going?
Yeah, we saw a very good full bars routine in podium training where she did connect Nabieva to Bardwaj to Van Leeuwen, which is the dream, which is the idea. That's the goal. So she put up a really good one on bars. So I wasn't too worried about bars. Beam was a little more of a struggle for her at the beginning. She was struggling with her mount, her intended mount, the layout step out, the round off layout step out mount, had some falls, got up at the end of the beam podium training and did kind of a bare bones version of her routine with a side split mount and one layout step out of her side aerial instead of two. Just a gainer, no twist, dismount. It felt like just get one out to be confident, like get a hit out there, finish on a hit note. So we'll see what we see from Suni on beam, but that's what podium training is for.
Exactly. I wasn't worried. I was like, this is not the best situation for the US, but it's fine. But the thing that I was worried about, and tell me if you noticed this, I know it's feelings, but people that watched told me that they could see on the feed the close-ups of Jade, and it looked like she was crying and she was talking about her dad. Her dad was not there today. We were told that he was sick, and she did not have a good podium training.
I wouldn't characterize it that way.
It was not her best podium training. It was not horrible. It just wasn't her best. So that makes me a little bit worried. Yeah, so we'll keep you updated if they want to share. I mean, that's up to them. They don't have to share anything. If they want to share something, they will. But it wouldn't be the first Olympics where an athlete has a parent that gets hurt or sick. So Jamie Dancher, Sydney, her dad got in a really bad car accident. So we'll just hope for the best for him and keep you updated if we hear anything.
Yeah, in terms of Jade, she's the backup on bars and beam, and she went up and did one routine and did what she needed to do. I thought her chung that she showed looked very good. It was a good control on the landing. She didn't do an Amanar. She did a Yurchenko double full, which is a comfortable vault for her. She downgraded floor most of her passes and then kind of had a weird thing and just did a layout on her last pass. So that was the one question you have with her for floor.
That's what I mean. That's she has missed that. She was doing her front step out, and we have seen her miss that. She struggled with it at trials, and then it was fine. So it's not unusual for her, but it was just like, there's just, something seemed a little bit off. She wasn't like totally her normal, but everybody was a little off in podium training. Like no one knocked it out of the park in podium training.
Except Jordan Chiles. I would say Jordan Chiles knocked it. Jordan Chiles won podium training in terms of, she was right on for every turn she did.
Jordan Chiles looks so good. She looks so ready. She hit everything. She absolutely killed it. And the other thing is, like, the two teams that operate this way, that just like go and then they sit down, are Brazil and the US. Like, they do their one touch, they hit their routines, and then they just relax. And Brazil's the same way. They're like, we're done. Sometimes, like, some people took some extra turns. Like Suni did a lot more on beam and stuff like that. But in general, they're just so ready and so prepared. Yeah,
they definitely did not use the whole time, which was frustrating to watch on the stream, because you're like, oh my God, you could be showing Italy right now. You could be showing us China. You could be showing us Kaylee Namor in this subdivision. But it was like, actually, Simone sitting there is what for 10 minutes is what we're going to do. So that was fun.
And just so you know, that like the reason that we can't put up anything that we normally do, like normally we put up video and do all the stuff, we can't do that because we're not allowed. We don't have any rights. No one is allowed to do that who's in the arena absolutely no one unless they are a rights holder. So if you see it from anywhere, it's
gonna get taken down.
It'll get taken down, like a federation who did that today and got their stuff taken down. So that is why. Otherwise, I would love to video everything and do it for you. Let's talk about Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
Not perfect, but also I'm not worried about them. Andrade and Oliveira killed their bars. Oliveira looks amazing. Flavia, she's doing her can music, which is a French thing. In case you don't know, you like yell things, whip your skirt up, and fly into the splits. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, it's a great description.
Thank you. It's very popular. They do it at the Moulin Rouge. And she got applause. No one got applause for their floor routines the whole day, but Flavia got applause. For the volunteers couldn't contain themselves, and they had to applaud at the end, which is really nice to see. And then Julia Suarez, the weird thing about her today is she had a lot of problems on beam, and beam's like kind of her thing. She kept doing the stop myself rewind, like could not make herself go for her double pike dismount. It took her so many bouncing back and forth till she could get herself to go, and also with some other back skills on beam. It was very unusual for her, and it happened the whole time. I mean, she did a great double pike at the end, but it took her it would have been so many deductions had she done that routine. So I'm hoping she gets over whatever's happening that's freaking her out right now, because she's so good. But Brazil was Brazil. They look great.
And did Andrade do full twisting double back beam dismount?
I did not see her beam dismount
okay
enough to tell you for sure if she did it. I can't remember. I just remember she hit her routines. It was at the end of a very long day. A very long day, guys. I'm on hour, I don't even know at this point, way past 12 hours. The other team I want to talk about that was really impressive were the British. It wasn't like no, I'm sorry. As a team, they weren't necessarily.
By impressive, I mean I'm really worried about you.
Yeah, they
noteworthy.
They
fascinating.
They had impressive performances throughout their podium training, but as the team as a whole, I was like, oh, should I be a little worried about the British? Lots of falls on their first routines. Everybody, got up and hit their second routine. Becky Downey did.
And this is what event are we talking about? Just all of them?
Bars. Bars. They had some falls on floor. They had a lot of falls on beam. Georgia May Fenton had falls on bars. The person that looked really good and ready was Kinsella, their all-arounder, who has been very consistent. She did a great job. Abigail Martin, though, who's kind of the alternate for beam, and she's the newbie that got in there. She was really impressive, super aggressive, super confident. I was like, oh, and they don't have their lineups finalized. So she could make it into these spots. And the way that beam went today, I was like, oh, I think you probably are getting a beam spot.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see.
But the thing we were most interested in was vault and the United Kingdom of Amanar.
Yes, it happened.
So it happened. Iffy. We don't know. Are you going to hit it or are you not? I think they need to go for it because they don't have, Katarova here. They don't have a Champong here. You got to go for it. So Kinsella and Evans both attempted Amanars, some more successful than others, but it's, the option is there.
But overall, they were the team who I felt like could possibly be in the top 5 who I was worried about. The team I was not worried about, Spencer, is Italy. Italy are going to do it. Italy going to win a medal. Italy looked amazing. Italy are winning a medal. I don't care. It's already over for me. They've already won in Villa. She's Italian. Georgia Villa was hitting beam. She was hitting bars. Iorio had some problems. She had a fall on bars and beam, but otherwise, D'Amato was like, oh my God, every time I see her bars in person, you guys, if you go to a gymnastics meet in person, just do it, because it is not the same as watching it on TV. Every time I see her in person, I'm like, my God, how do you exist? You are a goddess on bars. She was like, hit her like 2 bar routines, was like, I'm done, sitting down. Everybody else was still taking extra turns. She was like taking a nap.
I already want it. I'm fine.
Oh, speaking of bars, the other update I have is Kovac got hurt on bars, and she was very indignantly sitting on the corner outside, like in the middle of a driveway, waiting for like an ambulance or something with her coaches and like medical staff. But I was like, really, you guys? You're just sitting her out here? Like, couldn't you? It was undignified, I felt like, for her. It was a sad. She just deserves, always to be carried on the shoulders of whoever. Many loving individuals. Nina.
Yes.
I want to talk about Nina.
Defending Olympic champion on bars.
Yeah. Nina. So she did jump to high bar, downy, pack, Maloney, backswing, half turn into Yezhova, Stalder, Shaposh, Hardwaj, Maloney half, toe full, and then right into her full out dismount, which she stuck one of the times. And I was like, oh shit.
You were like, that's a medalist composition right there.
Yeah. And then Kaylin Amore was also here today. And she has not looked good in training. Like, to me, I always wondered watching her train, because she does so many routines over and over and over and never stops. And even watching her in training, it's like, even when she's done doing stuff, like she sits on the floor and has this old like conditioning routine where she like sits on her butt, but then flutters her feet and does all this arm stuff. And I'm like, oh my God. Meanwhile, like Simone's like taking a nap for 2 rotations and Amore is like doing the most. So I was just like, oh, are you overtraining a little bit? So she has not looked as good as she had in the past. She did hit her bars routine. It looked good, much better today in podium training, but I still sort of worry. I just worry about her. It's just not quite where she was.
We shall see.
Yeah, so we're gonna see. What else? What other stories did I have to tell you? Let me see. So Abigail Martin, she was so good. I want to tell you about Levi. So I went Levi Jung Ruivivar from the Philippines, former U.S. elite. She just looked off in training yesterday all day and just was not looking herself. And then today, the same thing. She just she had a really hard time making a vault. She just had a hard time everywhere. And so in the mix zone, I was just like, asked her if I could interview her. And then I was just like, you just don't look like yourself. Like, are you okay? I just want to ask that first. And she was like, well, actually. So then she told me like she has a known allergy. She, on Monday night, she had she went into anaphylactic shock. She was trying not to use her EpiPen because the last time when she used it, she just was like hoping it would go away or it wasn't going to be as bad. But she ended up having to use her EpiPen. The last time she used her EpiPen, she was out of the gym for 2 weeks. And I can see her reluctance to be like, I'm at the Olympics. I have to compete. Like, I don't want to use my EpiPen. And then she, she got to the ambulance in the village and they took her to the ER. But, it really, really takes a lot out of her. And she talked about that and how hard it is when she uses those drugs to save her life. And so she's like, there isn't really anything I can do. I'm just like trying to harness the moments when I feel like I have energy to do my best. But that's so, so, so scary. And she doesn't know how she got it because she hadn't eaten for 3 hours. So she's not sure what she had the reaction to, which I feel like can be even scarier. So she has shared some of the pictures on her Instagram now. So if you guys want to send her lots of love, it's just like, it's one thing to be at the Olympics and have something that's in your control go wrong, but when something totally out of your control go wrong, that's really heartbreaking. So, and she's so amazing and so beautiful to watch. So enjoy her toe point for all it's worth. The other crazy
and if
thing,
she just needs to do a Danusha bars routine and get the highest execution score of the entire Olympics, feel free.
Oh my God, what she totally would. The other thing, I want to tell you, okay, so there's 2 other stories that I want to tell you today. Okay. which are, I want to tell you about talking to Sana Verman, because I can't believe what she told me. She's the one that does the sites to Bhardwaj. I was just like, I can't even believe this. And then I also talked to Luisa Blanco about why the whole story about how she ended up training at Suni's gym. So I want to tell you about that. And then I want to tell you about what happened with Simone when suddenly in the middle of practice, something happened and we were all like, oh God, is this Tokyo all over again? So, but before I tell you guys this is where we say goodbye to our general public. And this is where we go do a little deep dive and go into more details for our Club Gym Nerd members. So if you want to hear the rest of the stories, please join Club Gym Nerd at gymcastic.com. And otherwise, we'll see you back here after men's podium training on Saturday.
Men's podium training already happened, but that was your men's qualification.
The competition of men's on Saturday.
Competition of the men. Best man award.
So see you guys back here then, and thank you so much for listening. Okay, so first,